Hello and good morning to both of you. Thank you for joining today.
Good morning. Happy
Great
to
to
be
be
here.
here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming on to this. I think it's nice when I'm able to get an opportunity to help showcase some new products and features that are coming out on the Microsoft platform. So I'm happy to get to both of you on. And coincidentally enough, I don't usually do three-person live streams that often, and I just did one Friday with Isha and Rui on the PBIR format, and then immediately get to turn around the next week and do another one. So it's nice to be able to get at least a few different intelligent minds onto the chat together to be able to have some fun conversational discussions. And Devang and Tessa, for both of you, what I'd like to do as well is since it's your first time for both of you to this channel, let's start maybe with a little bit of a quick round of introductions. You can give the channel some context of who you are and what your role is with the company. Devang, I'll start with you and go from there.
Sure. Thanks, Reed. Thanks for having us over. So, hi, I'm Devang. I'm a principal program manager at Microsoft in Fabric Customer Advisory Team, popularly also called as the Fabric Cat team. I'm
Mhm.
based in Paris, living in Europe since 14 years or so. And within the Fabric Cat team, I focus 100% of my time on real-time intelligence workload. That's what we're going to talk about today. Super excited about it. Have seen the journey over the last 2 years go from almost nothing in Fabric to a very exciting workload. So super excited to
Exactly.
share that story with you all.
Wonderful. Thank you. And over to you, Tessa.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Tessa Kloster. I'm one of the group product managers in the real-time intelligence team. So in the product group, building and iterating on the product itself. Of course, working very closely with Devang and the whole CAT team as partners in crime to connect with our customers and understand their scenarios. And as Devang said, it's been super exciting to be along this journey with real-time intelligence and Microsoft Fabric in general. Of course, much of Fabric is evolution of existing capabilities,
Mm.
but it all kind of coming together and really seeing how we can kind of unleash the whole new set of capabilities for our customers. That kind of 1 plus 1 is 10 capabilities, and then of course with real time, both the existing capabilities and the new pieces we just released in real time intelligence. It's been a really fun journey and keeps us on our toes for sure. So excited to be here and talk all about it.
Excellent. Thank you both for the introductions. And I think also just bringing it into the idea of what we'll be talking about today. If either one of you want to chime in on that, but from like a high level perspective, uh, what are some of these new capabilities that are being provided and becoming available for the Microsoft platform that's changing from any of the like historical real time capabilities that has been or at least around or previously been around?
Yeah, I'll take that one. And so I think it maybe says in like the title, right? So
Hmm.
what we're talking about is the real-time intelligence piece that was announced just at Build, actually. And real-time intelligence is a workload within Microsoft Fabric. But as you as well alluded to, Reed, it really is an evolution of some of the existing capabilities that were already there.
Hmm.
So back when Fabric initially went public preview and then also GA'd, there's some existing capabilities in what was called the real-time analytics workload, and that included event and streaming ingestion with the event stream item. And then we had a KQL database and query set to really kind of understand and analyze your time series data. And actually, both of those components were also built on existing, Azure technologies with Azure Event Hubs and Event Grid and Azure Data Explorer and Stream Analytics. And so, as you're kind of alluding to, there's been pieces of this technology that have been available, leveraged by customers, for years and years. But what's really exciting with the announcement of real-time intelligence is that we're bringing all that together along with the data activator capabilities, which you also had a stream on, I think, last year when we announced it as well in public preview. And so now with real time intelligence in Microsoft Fabric, we really have an end to end experience that can go from ingestion to analysis to action, all within a single solution in Fabric as well. So alongside all of your other data estate, to make it very easy for users to leverage their real time and streaming data and build solutions regardless of their kind of technical ability. So this real-time intelligence capabilities go from wide range of user personas, from like of course data engineers, but through our analyst capabilities, developers, of course, but all the way down to or sideways to our business users as well. So even less technical users can take advantage of this experience the same way that we
Yep.
really democratize data with Power BI and that type of thing as well. So anyways, I could go on forever about all the different capabilities and the excitements, as I warned you beforehand, but yeah, there's a lot coming in real-time intelligence.
Well, as you said,
And if
it's
you don't,
both. Oh, go ahead, please.
well, I was just going to add some interesting tidbits to what Tessa said. So, although it may seem like real-time intelligence was announced at Build, real-time analytics was announced at Build 2023, and the Azure products that Tessa mentioned have been around for 4 or 5 years, but some of the products that are behind real-time intelligence, like Data Activator or Event House, KQL Database, Event Hubs, they've been being used at Microsoft for at least a decade. So it's not like brand new products which were built yesterday, and that's what we are launching in real-time intelligence. These products have proven to work at scale within Microsoft, and we said, okay, let's bring some Microsoft goodies out in the market, and let's make it available for our customers, partners, ISVs to use, so that they can benefit as well. So just wanted to add a little bit of that history element to it.
Well, and I think both of you have mentioned, it's both an evolution of what's exist, but then also a marriage of a few different products that have come out for sure. Yeah, and I linked the YouTube video on Will Thompson, who did back in November, related to the Data Activator and even some of the new stuff that's come out since then. But I think a good next step is also, Tessa, I know you have some kind of content prepared to give a nice broad, like top level overview of some of this. If you're ready, we can flip over to that and start taking a look at some
Yeah.
of the capabilities of this tool.
Yeah, I'm such a visual person, so I like to kind of see it in context. So there's just a couple slides that we can flip over to and just
Sure.
see how it all kind of ties in. And actually, from my slide, it looks a little bit, there we go, perfect. So this is a view, again, for folks that are familiar with Fabric, this is a view we leverage quite a bit, right, to show all of the different components across Microsoft Fabric and how they work together really as that unified data platform. So whether it's, data factory, data engineering, data warehouse. And so you will notice that this view has shifted a little bit since the build announcement, which again was just a month ago. It's so hard to believe. But you see that we have that piece there on real-time intelligence. That is, as we were just talking about, that kind of new workload, but as Devang said, new, but also familiar, right? So think about it still built on all of that proven technology. There's also existing GA components, whether it's the event stream or the event house capabilities, but a ton of new features as well, and also a ton of new end-to-end experiences. So it's not just that we added, new items, we also really made it much more seamless and integrated across the existing set as well. And then the other exciting piece as part of real-time intelligence, we also have what is called the real-time hub. And this one is really exciting. It's like that central place for all of your data in motion, where users can go find and discover the data. They can bring in more data, streaming in event data directly in that experience. And they can also use the hub as kind of a launching point for any other related activities, whether it's doing analysis or taking action on that type of thing. And we'll kind of get into a demo there. But I like this view because it just helps kind of anchor, okay, we know about Fabric, we know about all the different pieces. How does this kind of fit along alongside everything else?
Perfect.
And yeah, there's another view maybe as we're pulling up, and hopefully, Reed, you can still see the slides that I'm sharing too.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So maybe just a quick double click in to the real-time hub quickly, because again, one of the things that we know when people think about real-time solutions or real-time data is that I don't want to say that it's like a scary term, but it's just a term that has a lot of like connotation and maybe overhead. That means expensive, that means complicated, that means all of these kind of terms that maybe prevent them from even trying to build solutions. And that was one of the things that we wanted to address with the real-time hub, to make it very easy to connect to and discover that, high volume, high granularity data, whether it's within Microsoft already, whether it's in cross clouds. So you see on the left-hand side here, we have a number of different connectors that make it super easy for folks to bring in data from, streaming and event sources, but also, leveraging the capture, the change data capture feeds or the CDC feeds from your database sources, right? You already have a SQL database that powers, your application. And as changes are happening to that database, you can actually listen and stream in that data as well. So the connectivity makes it super easy for people to access the data. And then, as I mentioned, the hub being that central place on the right-hand side talks about some of those, like, what can you do with it, right? You can process it, analyze it, monitor, or act on it. And again, we'll get into more demos and that type of thing, but this type of view just helps like anchor the capabilities and what's possible for users of all different types, as I mentioned. And again, being very aware of those different users and their kind of technical capabilities. You'll see a lot of the AI powered intelligence as well. So some of it to make it more approachable. So we have Copilot that will help you, for example, generate KQL queries, which is super impressive. If folks haven't tried it already, I highly recommend it. But then we also have AI powered integrations that help address the fact that typically this type of data is just that like massive scale that humans can't understand. And so we can leverage, some of the great pieces there. So anyways, again, just a view to help kind of anchor all of the different pieces of what the real-time hub offers as part of that broader real-time intelligence solution.
What is the current connector, I guess, count into the real-time hub that you have of whatever external systems?
Yeah, so it's funny. It depends slightly by region still. So there are different
Sure.
availability on the connectors. But I would want to say we're on the order of like 10, 15. And again, there's different kind of categories of connectors. So there's traditional streaming connectors, if you will. So again, within Microsoft, you have things like event hubs. We also have connectivity to Amazon Kinesis, Confluent Kafka. There's discrete event sources. So things like Fabric system events. So as you use Fabric, it actually emits events, and similar things to Azure Blob events as well. So Google Pub Sub, there's those kind of discrete event systems. And then we also have, as I said, that category of CDC connectors as well. And in all three categories, we are constantly adding more. And we were just before the show talking about, ideas and voting and getting kind of customer feedback. And that is a big area when we talk with, you and your customers and the audience, like, what other data sources do you want to see? Because we're actively expanding on that set as well.
And I have a couple of questions that I think you may or may not be able to answer, but I was trying to read through them a couple of times to see if I can understand this. One is from Gustavo, and the sentence reads basically that major real-time solutions are based in CDC, where I guess. And some of these acronyms, I'm not CDC. I get the only solution in the market is AFKA. That is not a mandatory solution, which is, and it ends with 5-tran teleport sync. So the question from that is, does Microsoft plan to launch or provide any workaround for those cases? If that question makes sense to you.
I can take a stab at that. So I think AFK might refer to Kafka. I think the K might have gone missing somewhere because Kafka is a very, very, very frequently used protocol in this space. So if you look at the type of real-time data, so yes, there is change data capture coming from all different on-prem data stores or cloud data stores, and you can capture that. But if you look around us, if you look around you, there are plenty of physical assets, whether it's cars, whether it's wind turbines, solar panels, whether it's point of sale terminals in a retail store when you go and transact, or imagine for a retailer when goods are being loaded into a warehouse or unloaded into a truck, etc. All those are equipped with sensors, and they are all generating telemetry and data every single second or every single moment. So you want to be able to capture all that data and get derive intelligence from it, and that's why we have gone about and built real-time intelligence. Now, to answer that question, yes, there have been variety of technologies out there. Kafka being the most popular one is what we have seen. Lots of customers use Kafka. Kafka is typically used for two reasons. One is to transport messages from a physical asset or a digital asset to a data store. But Kafka is also used for a lot of service to service communication, especially in microservices driven architecture. When you want to decouple services, you can also send messages over Kafka topics, which are consumed by other
Mm-hmm.
services. But if you go to the first scenario, uh, we are supporting Kafka, so you can publish Kafka protocol messages directly to real-time hub or event stream under the hood. So we understand Kafka, so you don't need to go and re-architect your application or re-architect your code. You can simply point that code to send messages to event stream endpoint, and we understand Kafka out of the box. That's number one. And number two, we have also introduced a connector. This is what we announced at Build about a month ago. uh, Support for Confluent Kafka, because if people know, there was the open source Kafka, which was originally a project at LinkedIn. They open sourced it, made it available to the community, lots of wide adoption. And then Confluent came around and they are offering it called as managed Kafka. So, similar to, a lot of managed Spark providers. So now there's, Confluent is a managed Kafka provider. So we are also connecting to Confluent Kafka if that's what you use. And we can also go read data of your Confluent Kafka clusters and bring that data into real-time hub or real-time intelligence. So that's how we would address it. And last but not the least, we actually have Tessa might have that slide. This whole real-time landscape is plagued with lots of different fragmented solutions, and organizations or
Mm-hmm.
customers have had to piece together a lot of different services, a lot of different components to really build those real-time intelligence architectures or insight solutions or visualization solutions. And one, that is why there is this perception that real time is expensive. I don't want to do it because we need to do so much and there are so many specialized skills required. And this is exactly what we want to address, coming from that whole Power BI angle, Microsoft Fabric angle, self-service analytics. How can we make this real-time space easier as well in Fabric so that organizations do not have to shy away from it or look away from it, but they can actually say, hey,
Mm-hmm.
you know what? This makes it so much easier. Let's go build our real-time intelligence solutions as well. And this is what we want to, this is what we are trying to make it possible with Fabric, and hopefully people start seeing it as well. Long answer to the question, but I hope
No,
I.
this is good. Well, I'm glad you were able to interpret that. As you said, I think there was a letter missing, but
Typo, yeah.
Kafka made everything click. And just one other while we're on the topic of a connector,
Yes.
which is I think this is a good intro question on pipeline limitations. So essentially, the real time, quote unquote, is primarily subject to the DTA from the upstream source system. So on an extract basis, real time is in essence the as of last extract time of whenever the source system has that. So the limitation on how real time it is not through the hub. It's basically where as real as it could be in the system that it's ingesting from.
Yeah, that's a very valid point. It totally depends on the system, how quickly some systems are able to emit those events out. A lot of for example, let's talk about in the energy vertical, you have wind turbines. Wind turbines are continuously emitting messages. Now, in a lot of cases, and we have some customers who are evaluating this. In a lot of cases, there is a small kind of a disk or some small kind of a database on the wind turbine, on the physical asset itself, which is kind of just buffering the data because the motor or the engine behind the wind turbine is continuously emitting information. So that is buffered in that local database or local storage, and then that storage, depending on the connectivity with the cloud, is then going to start sending data to the cloud, and then you can capture that data in the cloud and analyze it. So yes, real timeliness depends on how fast and how quickly asset is able to send that data out. It depends on the local storage capability, the rate of emission, and also the connectivity to the cloud. Those are the three typical factors that come into play. Now, when we talk about anything to do with real time and cloud, let's be honest, and we should be here. it cannot be nanoseconds or milliseconds real time, because in the end it's cloud. You are going to have network and physics play their role in there in the communication. So it's never going to be 100% nanosecond or millisecond level real time. So I think product name is real time because we had to name the product and we wanted to make sure our product is well understood. But I think most of the cloud-based real-time intelligence platforms are at best offering what we would call it as near real-time. So something between second to a minute level latency is what we aim to deliver. In a lot of the scenarios and a lot of the projects that we are executing right now, we are seeing customers being able to visualize the data within a second. So it's not unrealizable, but as I said, network and physics play their role, and we cannot beat that.
Yeah, I think
physics is always a fun part.
exactly. And
Keep going,
the average that I've seen on quite a few from both some of the demos and others is usually like between about 1 to 4 seconds. If you have a system that's designed to have a clean, direct pass through into basically the whatever the visualizations or the stuff that you're ingesting by the time it's you're in your process analyzer monitor phase that you have over there. So it is for all intents and purposes essentially real time. Like you're getting information, but there's other systems designed, like if you need machines to be turned off at the millisecond mark or other things when like things start to go wrong, like there are other technologies designed to make changes that quickly. This is more for reporting and business decisions on real time, not like system critical machinery and other stuff that needs to be turned on or off or adjusted as things are getting brought in. So
I mean, you could get the analytics from those systems, right? And understand the systems and that type of thing. But like you said, in that direct control loop of like actually turning it on and off, that's definitely not the intent. And I was going to go a little bit further, even Devang, to talk about like even the other types of data that we support as well. But is there anything else on the time, like real time aspect you wanted to comment on? But I jumped in a little bit, so don't want to kill your thought.
No, so just as a quick mention, Tessa, I still get your audio. It looks like the video turned off. If you want to flip your camera back on, the video and the screen share clicked off for some reason.
Okay, keep good. Devang, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll fill in the gap. So two additional thoughts. So yes, Reed, you can still hear me, I guess?
Yep, I can still hear you. You're good.
Okay. So just to add two more thoughts to what you mentioned. So yes, we will never recommend controlling an on-prem or an edge-based system from cloud. You can, that is possible, but make sure your architecture is right. You have a lot of redundancy built into the architecture, and you can realize those controls as well. However, there are two things. So one is, of course, reporting and visualization analytics. But second, you can also have a lot of event-driven workflows that you can create. Depend on something happen on site at the edge in your asset, and you want to trigger some workflows in the cloud because you have some complex workflows in place. That become possible with real-time intelligence. That's also additional value we want to unlock. And last but not the least is real-time data that we want to capture in the cloud is not so much for controlling your factories or your cars that are running or that are operating. That is much more for having this holistic view across your organization of all the different time series data, event data that you may have. Now, just to give an example, we are working with a customer, a large consumer goods company. They have plants all over the place, all over the world. They have this time series data or event data or machinery data in each plant. And so far, for the longest time, their data was kind of locked into the plants. Only the plant manager could see that data, and they were using that data to operate their plants. But nowadays, as the globalization has kicked in, you want to drive supply chain optimizations across the world. The central team wants to capture data, all this time-based data, event-based data, machinery data into the cloud, have a holistic view of what's happening in my manufacturing operations, supply chain operations around the world. So when I want to launch a new product, if I want to introduce a new product line, if I want to adjust something in the plant, if I want to calculate my overall efficiency of plant operations, I have a much better view. And these are the kind of questions we are seeing from customers when they say, hey, this is where we want to start capturing this real-time real-time information. And so that we have a better view, because if I want to do something, and if my report or if my data is 2 days old or 5 days old, that's already stale information. How can I get closer to real-time insights into what's happening in my operations, so I can start making better decisions, whether it's my reorganizing my supply chain, reorganizing my logistics, reorganizing my truck routes or fleets or etc. I can make better decisions if I have those near real-time insights. So a long answer again, but I hope it goes through.
And
No, it was perfect.
and
We got everything back up and running. Your video, audio, and screen share is all good now. So
awesome. Yeah, Devang, you gave me the buffer that Skype needed apparently. Did you touch on a bit as well? Like, again, there's huge opportunity for that data that is, time sensitive on the order of like seconds and minutes. But even if that isn't, the critical part of what solutions people are trying to build, right? If they're just using data that's honestly time series data and they're trying to understand better how this time, the data is changing over time. So even if your data isn't real time, if you will, as in like you don't need something in minutes or seconds, this kind of capabilities across real time intelligence are still highly beneficial. And I think you're starting to allude to that too, Devang, of like, hey, if this something used to take me weeks or months, I don't have to wait that long, right? I can, leverage it and understand it in an hour, or a day, or whatever it might be. So even though we have real time in the name, we also, can just be used with any kind of time series data to really help you understand and explore the data as well. So
yeah, and that's the beautiful example for what Tessa is explaining was also on a shared at build in Arun's and Amir's keynote. There was a car manufacturer, an engineer who came on stage and said they did not really need real time insights, but what they were doing is they were capturing telemetry from the cars as the cars were driving around on a test track, right? So there are test drivers who go and test the cars for hours and hours, generate lots and lots of data because they're trying all kind of different conditions. What if I turn the steering, press the brake and turn on my AC at the same time? What happens? How does the car react? So they get this tons and tons of data. And this is all typical time-based data or time series data that they want to capture, and they want to be able to analyze this data at awesome speeds, and the example that he gave is previously it used to take him 2 days to analyze this data. If an engineer came and asked the question saying, hey, there was this test done 2 weeks ago, could you look at that data and tell me what happened, how did the car behave? Previously it used to take him 2 days to kind of construct the whole data and analyze it and come up with answers, and now he's doing it in 40 seconds, right? So it's not just about being able to capture and ingest and analyze that data in real time. You want to be captured in real time, but when you want to analyze it, maybe 2 days later or 2 weeks later, if you can start getting like rapid answers, it drives so much more agility and productivity in your business, right? So that's what also we are trying to unlock with real-time intelligence. It's not just about from point A to point B, can I do it in few milliseconds? No, let it be captured, and then you can analyze at speed as well later. So.
And the last thing that I'll mention before we move on to the next part is the on the topic of like time series and analyzing, it's not just in these new products where a lot more like micro granularity of real-time information down to the millisecond can be ingested, but also in terms of the actual like structure of the rows of data coming in. But the in the roadmap with the PBI core visuals team and Miguel Myers and all the amazing work that he's doing, like one of the things that's on the pipeline for slicers and everything and filters is to be able to get down to the millisecond level in the little scrabble bars when you're filtering on pages and everything. So even if you're ingesting this further downstream after it's out of the real-time hub into a Power BI report, there'll be eventually the ability to actually filter and analyze that data much more easily with native visuals, even down to like the millisecond level of a time series data.
Yeah, and that's what, and like, the different capabilities, like we want to make sure we empower all those different users to like you said, get to that insights that they want to read. The other piece, and we probably won't have time in our, but we also understand that, at some point there's just so much data at such a high, granularity that just a human can't manage it, even if they want, even if we gave them all the knobs, like, and so this is where we start integrating things like, AI powered anomaly detection. And so, okay, great. Even if I could slice and dice, at that point, I'm kind of looking for something, right? Maybe I have a known issue or like a known kind of concern, but we talk a lot in this space about the unknown unknowns, where like, I don't actually know that this could be an issue, right? And so this is where some of the great capabilities we have that will be built right in and are built right in to let you, to help you discover those things. And so Although you can, again, like investigate for something, you might also want to get those hints and information at the scale, again, that like humans just can't process data. And we also have some of those capabilities built in. So great example of like what we want to empower users to do, but we also want to use, the power of technology to help when it can.
Exactly. Perfect. Thank you.
So I had one more slide about the different capabilities, but I wonder, Devang, do you want to just start showing? I know we're kind of got halfway in and we haven't even showed the product yet. So maybe we want to jump over to a quick demo.
Yep, let's go do that. Share my screen. All right. Let me know when I am.
Yep, we got it.
Yeah. All right. So as Tessa mentioned, everything starts with Real-Time Hub for us in Real-Time Intelligence and Fabric. So this is your Real-Time Hub. It is available in your left navigation pane as one of the icons. It's called Real-Time Hub. It looks like a river flowing of data, data flowing with river flowing with some data. So it is that. So here you can find 3 tabs. These are all the data streams that I have created that come into Fabric Real-Time Intelligence. So I have some YouTube live viewer stream. I have some bike availability data. This is what I have. I also have some data from, I can go and discover some Microsoft sources as well. This is not connected to my Microsoft subscription, so you don't see them. But for example, if this account was connected to an Azure subscription, we would go and discover your event hubs, IoT hubs that you may already have access to. And last tab is Fabric Events. This is where you can bring some event-based data. So imagine a blob getting created in your blob storage account. And we will listen to that event, and then you can trigger interesting workflows based on this blob storage events. Or someone goes and deletes an item in your workspace in Fabric, which is a scenario I've heard many, many times from many different Power BI as well as Fabric customers. Those events will also be listened to by Real-Time Hub. And then you can start getting alerted, or you can start sending emails if something of those things happen. So these are the 3 tabs which are available in Real-Time Hub. So it becomes one single place where you can discover all your streams of data that you have access to and you are allowed to see. Now,
and maybe, Devang, before you go just a little bit further, just to draw the parallel as well, because I know, Reid, you've had lots of other kind of Fabric topics, and I know we talk a lot about, OneLake and all the other capabilities. So like a parallel we like to draw, right, is like the same way the OneLake Data Hub, right, is for all of your kind of data at rest, right? That's where maybe you see, your different databases or, what's in your lakehouse. Like you have that ability to kind of browse and discover. The Real-Time Hub provides that same opportunity for streaming and event data, which again, as Devang and I were talking at the beginning, is traditionally very hard for users to discover, especially your analyst or your business user personas. Maybe your data engineers know where all the data is, of course, but this really kind of opens it up and democratizes it for everyone, while still only showing users what they have access to, right, through the right permissions and that type of thing. So Devang is going to see everything that he has access to as the current user that he signed in. Maybe if I sign in, I'll see something different. But it still, again, gives me that place for kind of discoverability and management as well.
Exactly. Like same artifact level permissions that everything can be assigned for anything else. So just the only thing is that you have permissions for either read or build access on.
Exactly. And then you see, like, for example, the information that we show in this view, right? Okay, show the name, but you also see the owner to help you understand, and then even like the location. So the workspace that this item exists in, or the parent item exists in, is a major area that people use to kind of navigate and explore. So that's of course one that they can filter on, and then of course search. Right, when in doubt, search for the events that you're looking for, and that can help you find the specific pieces. And we do even more, I'm sure Devang will show, than just list it out, right? As we talked about, this is also kind of becomes the place to use it and take action on it as well.
Indeed. So, Reid, we have a little surprise for you. So I want to complete, I want to show that, how that is going to play out. And then we'll come back and explore the product in all the details and, make sure that people have a good idea. So what we did is we created an event stream, which is going and listening to viewers as they are joining this live stream that we are on right now. So I have a little Spark notebook, which is polling the YouTube API. As you can see, I have a little Spark note. I have a Logic app, and I have a Spark notebook, which is polling the YouTube API. I have put our video ID in that, and then it sends a message. It arrives in some kind of an interesting JSON, and I want to extract the concurrent viewer field from that particular JSON. So as you can see, I get this JSON, which is basically looking something like that. And imagine, as a business user or end user, I cannot do a lot with this even in Power BI. So in Event-Stream, you get these operators where you can transform your data. Very simple transformations, drag and drop, pointy clicky. So you can basically use an expand operator, which will expand your item JSON. You can look at the fields that you are interested in. For example, I'm interested in this particular field, concurrent viewers, because this is what I want to see. How many viewers have joined this live stream? Of course, you can go and see it on YouTube, but we'll have some interesting statistics for you. And then I'm pushing this data into a KQL database, which is our real-time data store for real-time intelligence. Now, I'll shortcut to a dashboard. Okay, so this is a dashboard. This is a real-time dashboard. The first feed I'm showing to you is France 24. So that's a very popular news channel in France that people watch. Now, if I go to France 24, it's running right now. As you can see, there are about 5,673 people watching. And if I'll switch to my dashboard, that's the number we are nearly at. So this is how the data is refreshing. My polling is running at 30 seconds. I'm polling 30 seconds because I don't want to get throttled by YouTube. So I'm just rating it at 30 seconds. So this is what I can see. It would have jumped to 5673 as you could see. Just a couple of seconds delayed.
Real time.
Yep. Yeah, that's cool.
So this is the France 24 live viewers. So as you can see, there was a drop. Most likely the French people went for their dinner, and that's why there's a little drop. And now people are coming back onto the news channel. Evening time, people like to watch news. Now let's check real-time intelligence. So this is the live real-time intelligence viewership. So if we go to what's new in Fabric Real-Time Intelligence, it's all real time here right now. You can see what I'm showing, but we have 12 people watching, and this is what you will see here as well. It will most likely jump up. You will have 12 people watching here as well. So this is what is happening with real-time intelligence live viewers. Again, this is refreshing every 30 seconds. So as you can see, it jumped to 12, and we can see. And last but not the least, we said, hey, you know what? I was discussing with Tessa saying, how do we know whether 12 is good? Are people interested in our real-time intelligence feed, this live stream? How do we know? So we said, okay, we actually took the live stream of your PBIR report format that you mentioned that you did with Rui and I forget the name of the other gentleman from Microsoft. And this is ours. So of course, it looks like people are very, very interested in PBI and not so much interested in real-time intelligence. But we'll get there. We'll beat this curve someday. But just this is all happening real time, right? It is all powered with what you saw: event stream, real-time dashboards, data flowing in from YouTube. I'm polling that API, and you can get these interesting analytics. And I was thinking about this use case further, saying, I don't know, because I don't run a YouTube channel, but you do. I don't know if you have these kind of interesting analytics, and if this is a use case that we should maybe pursue as a little demo of, how would YouTubers like to measure and monitor what's happening with their live stream? So
I can guarantee, like, every content creator, like I will be asking you if I can get this afterwards, because it's awesome. I know at the end of a stream, yeah, like the peak concurrence might have been 38 or something like that, and you have to go to each individual stream usually, or to the YouTube portal to do comparison over, like, what was it at the 15-minute or the 35? Where did you drop? Where did you have increases? But if being able to have just that history in Power BI and just maybe see, like, top 10 over time and have them compared with each other on a single chart would be really cool. So I would love to get my hand on this, and I'm sure like Kratos BI and any other like Power BI and Fabric YouTuber would be very happy to be able to, like, extract their data out easily. I used to be able to get it out years ago with Miguel Escobar, who's now on the Power Query team. He used to have a YouTube connector for Power Query that he built, but Google changed its policies and a few other things, so it
Permit,
doesn't
yeah.
work anymore. And so my old YouTube report went away, but I love to be able to play with actual real world data. So I think this is super cool. I'm super
Awesome.
appreciative and happy about seeing something like this. This is fun.
We thought it'd be relevant for sure. And then I think you also mentioned, there's different days. So maybe Devang, we should compare to another Tuesday live feed compared to Friday live feed, right? I'm sure
I would
there's
say in
different.
general,
Indeed.
the Tuesdays will always get a little less, and it's one of
Yeah,
those where the people who tune in will be lower on the day of on a Tuesday, but most
it
of the streams
after.
will get
Yeah.
between 1,000 to 1,500 views by like the 2 to 3 week mark.
Awesome. And the other cool thing about this one, like you said, being able to access the YouTube data directly, but also, now that it's in Fabric, you can also understand and analyze it like alongside other, feeds that you might have, right? So anyways, it's as Devang and I were talking beforehand, wanted to have something kind of topical and relevant as we were kind of showing the capabilities. But this is really, the tip of the iceberg. There's so much
Yep.
more that you can do. Even setting alerts. I don't know, Devang, if we're going to do it, but you can even see that there's an option here to set an alert. So back to your point, Reed, of like, what information would you want? Of course, there's the post-processing side. Hey, but maybe you want to be notified when you cross, 100, or maybe in our case, let's say 20, whatever it might be, right? And
Mhm.
it provides a different kind of dynamic to the monitoring as well. So yeah, just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much that it can do.
That's fun. Quick, just as a question on this from somebody on the chat. So AJ was just wondering, like, so what's the complexity of setting up some of these interim steps? Is there any particular language or syntax that the user needs to know for this stuff?
That's an awesome question. I'll just wait for a couple of seconds for this one to finish, but I can maybe also switch on to the tab because I have a tab here. So here, to be honest, no. What I have done, and I'll completely transparent. This is my Fetch YouTube live stream viewership logic app. So if you are familiar with logic app, I did not write a single piece of code. I just created a little logic app, which has an HTTP endpoint, which is just going and polling my YouTube API. I had to create a API key so that that's what YouTube needs in order to authenticate my request, and then it is sending it to two different event hubs or event
Hmm.
streams that I have shown to you. So this is again step one, which is no code. Step two, I come here, my data lands in this particular endpoint. So just to show you something interesting, when you create an event stream in Fabric, you get these three endpoints: an event hub endpoint, you get a connection string and primary key, etc. So you can publish data to an event hub endpoint, or an AMQP endpoint, or a Kafka endpoint. You remember we talked about Kafka. We understand Kafka as a protocol. This is your Kafka endpoint. You can simply go and pick up all the keys that you need to publish to Kafka protocol. Or if you don't even want to do that, here is a sample code in Java. More languages will come up, and you can just
Okay.
copy this code, paste it into your Java-based application, and start publishing messages to this particular event stream. Now, once, as I said, data arrives here, as you could see, I had this is a typical JSON. There are we understand JSON out of the box, so you don't even have to break open that JSON. We did extract the fields or the columns that are there in JSON, and here you can see there was a little array. Which array? Because what I'm interested in this particular field, concurrent viewers, because that's what I want to show. This is what I did. I just did an expand operation. So if I click on edit and I click on transform events, I have the multiple different options. So I can do filtering, I can do aggregation, I can do choose fields. This is what I'm doing here. I can do some joins. For example, there are scenarios where you want to join two different streams into a single stream, or you want to union two streams. So you can do all that. And expand operation is what I'm using to expand that JSON array, so I can access the fields that I'm interested in, and I'm pushing that data into my KQL database. So this is, again, I have not written a single line of code here. It's all drag and drop, point and click. Now from here, once my data lands, and let me then go to my KQL database. So here is my KQL database. This is the table in which my data is landing. So I can simply, if I want to quickly just see the data, I can say, okay, let me show me some 100 records. I know I only have 7,000 records right now because I'm just streaming since yesterday, not more. So as you can see, the data is landing. I have my concurrent viewers as a column that I want to access for my visuals. So I have my data here. Now from here, I actually don't need to. So if you want to write KQL, if you just do show any 100 records, you saw KQL. But you also have the option of SQL. So you can also write SQL. It will do the same thing. It will take top 100 rows from your table and show you SQL. You can write even more SQL statements if that's the language you go to. Last but not the least, to complete the whole low code, no code experience, I can simply click on Build Power BI report here. It will connect to this particular table. So as you can see, my Kusto query result. I have the same columns available here. I can simply choose a line chart, put timestamp on X, concurrent viewers on Y, and ID of the stream as a legend. And then here I have my little visual. So, and now, for example, I know the France 24 stream that we were watching goes with this particular ID. You know what, to be honest, you can also enrich this data. You're working with IDs. If you have the names of the streams, you can fetch that data from YouTube. You can also join that data. And here you have your Power BI report. So as you could see, without writing a single, I have not even touched my keyboard, to be honest. I've only done everything with the mouse. With point and click, I can have my little visual ready to go without having to write a single piece of code. So for Power BI users, if you're looking to build real-time visuals, and I know Power BI had streaming data sets and all that different kind of capabilities, which have taken their own life and own shape and own turn. But this is a very structured, solid solution for you to build your real-time insights reports directly in Power BI. And for example, you can go to the report, set page refresh to on, set this down to few seconds. And even if you want 1 second, let's do 1 second. And you're good to go. That's it. It is going to refresh every second and it will show you how your stream is evolving. So, and I can go and save this report.
Yeah,
I'll say,
I hope they eventually add a button to full screen the preview window, just because it gives you such a tiny canvas to build that in.
That's a good feedback for sure, especially once you get all the panes out, right?
Yeah,
but I just wanted to add
exactly. Go ahead.
Even more to what Devang was saying, because like I think you showed one path and like you did kind of complex stream transformation on the fly, right? Load it into a time series database and visualize it, like you were saying, even without like touching your keyboard. We even have capabilities around Copilot, right, with query generation that we didn't even kind of touch on. So this was kind of a very like straightforward, end-to-end piece, which really shows the power, like how quickly you can get an end-to-end solution. But if you wanted to take it further and further analyze your data, you still don't have to write queries. You can do it with Copilot. If you wanted to explore the different visuals, of course, you can use Power BI, you can use the real-time dashboards, all visually. You don't, again, drag and drop and use the filter experiences and everything. So back to the question, you don't have to know a specific language or anything in order to get all of these different capabilities. In some places there is that opportunity if you want to kind of, okay, this is helpful, I want to go beyond the UI and just write your own queries, or ultimately write your own transform. There's custom transform language we're looking to support as well in the event stream. Like, so all of those will be possible and options, but we did really want to make it approachable to all users to really try to harness this power just through your mouse, as Devang was describing. And yeah, this is a good example, Devang. What are we looking at here?
So one more workflow or one more flow that is possible for, again, business users or users that are not conversant in writing queries, but they still want to get some interesting insights. What is interesting with real-time data, or data that is continuously arriving, let's maybe focus on the data of continuous generation, high granularity, continuously arriving data, whether it's arrive every second, every minute, every 30 seconds, doesn't matter, but data that is continuously arriving. Now imagine, Reed, if you are a YouTuber, you're not going to keep watching those, auto-refreshing dashboards. Right? It can get boring at point, but what you are interested in, like, hey, if a certain condition is met, I want to know, because that is maybe the event, or that is maybe an action that you want to take, and then,
Yep.
adjust your flow, or adjust your marketing, or adjust, how to get more viewers into your live stream. So here I have my live stream. Here you can get some
Mhm.
interesting insights. You can do preview data. You can see some 46,000 or some 40,000 messages are flowing through. It will show a preview of the data. It had loaded previously. And from here, without even generating visuals, you can simply click on set alert. And here you can start building complex conditions that, on each event, when a certain thing happens, or, items has a certain condition, I want to get alerted. I want to get a Teams message, or I want to get an email. So you can do that.
Mm.
Or more importantly, the third option here is run a fabric item. So imagine if you have a data pipeline, or if you have a notebook, which is going to get triggered based on this particular event which has occurred,
Mm.
viewers exceeded a certain value, you can trigger those pipelines and notebooks as well from here. So this also, without just focusing on visuals, you can build a lot of these event driven workflows based on something happen in your continuously arriving data. And I think this unlocks much more value for our users who may not always just keep looking at those auto refreshing visuals, right? So again, something we wanted to highlight, that this is also possible without even touching Power BI or real time dashboard or visuals. You can start getting actions based on the data that is arriving.
Exactly. The goal with any kind of reporting and frequency of data is not to have to look at the data that doesn't need review. It's to take action either by us or by the system itself when a change has occurred that requires some action as a result of it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
as you know, just to complete the story, and you already mentioned about the video that you had with Will Thompson. So when you click
Mm.
on set alert, this is actually your data activator experience, which gets activated. And data activator experience, you have the, previously you could only send an email or a Teams message or trigger a Power Automate workflow. You also now have another option, which is basically run a fabric item. So if you want to know more about data activator, I guess we can, you can have Will back with all the new features and new things that he's building, but also, watch the other video, because here you can only see a very small
Yep.
canvas of what you can do with data activator. Moment you open this reflex into a bigger canvas, you have much more flexibility and a much bigger canvas to create more complex conditions and more complex workflows.
Exactly.
And maybe a good segue, I don't, Devang, I can go back to that last slide. I was just going to show that tries to highlight like all
Yeah.
of the different capabilities, because I think Devang, explained well that, what we touched on was just almost that like sneak peek of these different pieces, right? Even data activator, we kind of stayed in that on ramp, that trigger creation experience. You can, once you create the item, you can go open it and get a ton more capabilities. He showed Event House and KQL database kind of briefly, but there's so many pieces that we have around, the language, about the forensic analysis, about query set, about Copilot that we didn't even get into. And same thing with Event Stream. There's so many pieces on the kind of data connectivity, the transformation, the routing, the troubleshooting. There's layers and layers that we can peel back. But I think we wanted to both, emphasize the ease of use and the kind of approachability of this piece. And as you saw, kind of Devang really quickly even walk through how you can build an end-to-end real-time solution with just a few clicks. But then also it can kind of scale out to all of these different capabilities. And so this is just another kind of visual that we use to kind of hit on all those different pillars and categories of capabilities, whether it's ingestion, the analytics, the Copilot, AI experiences, dashboards, triggering, and event-driven actions, which somehow he managed to touch on all of them in the 20 minutes. But there's even more depth behind all of them as well. So just like to use this one as a quick kind of recap as well.
Well, it's always a bit of a song and dance to try to cover both breadth and depth on any feature, right? But it's as you said, you're scratching the surface with a lot of this stuff, but just enough to I think whet the appetite a bit, but also show some of the flexible capabilities of the platform.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's where we have even, I think the other piece, and we talked on it a bit at the beginning, when we were kind of emphasizing or kind of connecting the dots between what's already been historically available or what customers maybe are familiar with, again, whether it's in Azure or whether it was in, Fabric since the November GA. And so, there's quite a bit of capabilities built on that very like highly scalable, highly reliable platform. So just again to emphasize that, like, even it was so approachable, right, Devang? I love that you never had to touch your keyboard, everything through the mouse. Even though it's drag and drop and clickable, this can scale out to terabytes, petabytes of data, right? It can take billions of queries. Like the scale of this thing, because it is built on Azure Event Hubs, Azure Data Explorer, Stream Analytics, it's all there. But we've just don't let the ease of use, I guess, fool you into thinking it can't scale as well to those production scenarios for manufacturing, for energy, as Devang was explaining. All of these different industries have critical business operations that can benefit from solutions like this, and this platform can fully support that as well. So it could be something like this, like you could focus on a specific stream and specific, again, your YouTube feeds, whatever it might be, and you can build it into like your full end-to-end business solution as well.
Anything with an IoT device typically will have some kind of ability for near real-time data ingestion.
Indeed.
And
one more thing I just want to,
Tessa, go ahead.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just going to build off, and maybe there's a slight delay. I apologize, but the like you said, the IoT device, but like this one is maybe closer to kind of like a telemetry, right, experience. If you have any kind of like system or application, right, all of that is emitting data. You saw the Fabric events, Fabric itself is emitting data. So you definitely, if you have a physical device, an IoT device, for sure there's something in real-time intelligence, but there's also that wide range of other sources that I think will benefit from solutions like this, even if you're still in a purely kind of digital solution as well. So one more plug, but sorry, Devang, maybe you're going to build off the same.
And one thing I wanted to go back to the YouTube example, and since you showed interest in what we have built, what I discovered is actually there is YouTube sends a notification whenever you upload a video. So actually what I was thinking is I'll subscribe to that notification, bring it to Event Stream, and then trigger that I want to go and capture how many views are being generated in the first 30 minutes of your upload, next 90 minutes, 2 hours, 4 hours. And you could have that interesting statistic to monitor, how are people watching your videos as you upload. So you can also, again, it's not just me having to go and poll. Some systems provide that notification, which triggers an event, and this is what I would go and do it. The second thing I wanted to highlight, we talked a lot about point and click, drag and drop, not having to touch my keyboard. But with that, I also want to, make sure that the pro developers do not feel alienated. It's not that it's just UI, UX driven real-time intelligence. You can also write code. It's possible to do transformations. So in Event Stream, very soon you will see you can also do code-driven transformations. You can write code in order to do all kind of complex transformations. If you're writing SQL, if you want to write KQL, you can do that complex anomaly detection, forecasting, etc., in Event House as well. And then once you have connected Power BI report or real-time dashboard, if you want to then write all your Power Query flows in Power BI, which again will go and fetch data, it's all possible. So pro developers, do not feel alienated. It's not that it's only point and clicky and draggy and droppy. There are code-based experiences as well for you.
And API level and programmatic access and everything, exactly as Devang saying. So really trying to kind of make it approachable and available for like that full continuum of technical capabilities. And I think maybe you hear us focusing a lot on like that business user and the analyst persona, especially because historically, real-time analytics has been so developer and data engineer focused. So we aren't leaving those behind either. The capabilities are still there. We are just trying to kind of expand to that full continuum.
Well, low code, no code doesn't mean that there's not the capability of coding when you need to. It's just that it's trying to make it approachable for both audiences. The business user down to the data engineer.
Yeah, and as I think Fabric's promises, both sets of users can coexist on the same platform. There are enough experiences and tools and capabilities for both users to, one, coexist, but two, much seamlessly collaborate. Data engineers can build those
Exactly.
complex event streams, expose them as streams in real-time hub, and then business users can go and start
Yep.
reading those streams and build their own visuals and dashboards on top of it. And both can coexist, both can work off each other. So I think that's what we are also feeding into from real-time intelligence. That's the promise of Fabric, and that's what we are feeding into as well.
And I think as we're getting up close to the time, was there anything left, Tessa, that you wanted to show, or or Devang, that we can kind of put a nice little bow on everything with to wrap up for the last 5 to 10 minutes?
I don't have any other. I mean, again, we could talk about this for the rest of the day if we had the time and
Yeah.
energy as well. I think the main thing, and I know you shared a bunch of links as well, but like when in doubt, folks can always go to ak.ms/realtime intelligence to learn more. And right now that link actually links out to our build announcement. And so it's a great blog that has a little bit of everything. It talks about the capabilities, it links to documentation, it talks about customer stories. There's a really great, super exciting video there showing one of our customers, Denner Motorsports, talking about how they're leveraging real-time intelligence. It links out to our communities, forums, the ideas page, if folks are trying it and they want new features. So aka.ms/realtime intelligence kind of being that one main place for everything. And yeah, we have so much more though to dive in and talk about, Reed. So maybe we'll just have to come back at some point and give folks another at least hour about it.
And I'm making sure to put in I just dropped the link into the chat. So that will be for anybody tuning in. It'll be in the chat and also in the YouTube description as well. The permalink, which it sounds like this link will change to different pages depending on what's topical, but that will always be some of the important information at the moment in time you go to that link.
Exactly. Yeah.
And one more thing just to highlight on that link is if you want to get hands-on, that link also links you to tutorial. There is a real-time intelligence tutorial available on our docs page.
Okay.
So if people want to just get hands-on and not just read doc and watch screens or visuals, you can do that. There's a very nice tutorial with bike sharing data. You'll build your streams, you'll build your visualizations, and you'll also build your alerts. So you can get hands-on with real-time intelligence as well.
Shows you everything. And I think, with Fabric also having kind of that free 60-day trial, hopefully everyone's already Fabric users, but if they're not, you can also very easily sign up. And then as Devang said, run through the tutorial. We'll give you that little taste of everything using, simulated streaming data. So even if you don't have access to streaming data immediately, we account for that in the tutorial. But then once you kind of have gotten the exposure to the different pieces, it's very easy to connect to whatever data might be important to you and do kind of the same thing. So that's a great call out, Devang, that we have all of that also linked from that same page.
And I think having the ability to actually connect to some type of real-time source where not everybody necessarily has that is a nice way to let them play in a bit of a sandbox environment.
Indeed.
Beautiful. I want to thank both of you for coming on. As you said, there's plenty of topics for this in the future. This product will continue to evolve. So I'm happy to get either or both of you back on again sometime in the future. But appreciate you taking time out of your day, Tessa and Devang, out of your evening over from Europe to come on today and talk about everything related to real time.
Yeah,
well,
happy to.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Reed. Really, really appreciate it, and happy to come back whenever you think it makes sense. And we also have some bunch of new features to announce. I think we'll be happy to come back and educate your audience on real-time intelligence.
Perfect.
Definitely.
Thank you so much.
Great. Thank
you.
All right. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching. Please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. And if you want to help support this channel, take a look at our channel memberships or our merchandise store for cool swag. And last but not least, please consider sharing this video on your social media platform of choice to help our channel grow. So, until next time.